Welcome back, everyone, to the program. And first, to some of your stories in brief. We begin with the federal government saying that it is looking at more strategic ways to improve access to electricity supply from the current arrangement. And this is according to Professor Shibajo, who mentioned it during the inauguration of some transmission projects in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. He also said several policies are in place to open the electricity market to more investors. Elsewhere, multiple charges, inadequate security, lack of synergy among relevant agencies are believed to be responsible for the slow performance of the Nigerian ports. And that is why the general submission of experts at a public hearing organized by the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating why the Warri, Port Harcourt, Calabar, Onne and Onitsha inland ports are not being put to maximal use. Also taking a look at the federal government's anti-corruption war, and in our Abuja studios, Mr. Abiodun Aikomo, Special Assistant to the President on Anti-Corruption and White-Collar Crimes, has been talking to us. Thank you so much for your patience. I must draw your attention to a recent report by SERAP where they said that they did a survey, performance survey, of the anti-corruption drive in the last 4 years, 6 geopolitical zones, and in their interviews, it scored the government pretty low. In fact, they said their view was that the government's anti-corruption efforts are inadequate and unconvincing.
Coincidentally, I was at the launch of SERAP's anti-corruption survey program that held at Lagos Airport Hotel, and we have reviewed the documents issued by SERAP. Well, it's a survey, like they said, but it wasn't representative of the people of Nigeria and their views on the subject. For instance, the surveys were carried out in a few states, and they only spoke to a few number of persons out of 180 million people. You know, surveys are there. It's a good indicator to measure performance, but it must be realistic, it must be widespread, and the survey must actually cover a wide spectrum of people so that it can really reflect the situation on ground. That is not to say that the war against corruption has been won 100%. There are still lots to be done, and the federal government has identified that, and they are alive to the reality, and they are taking steps. The federal government of Nigeria is taking steps to take the war against corruption a step further in the next 4 years. And as you begin to see, the federal government will create an anti-corruption ecosystem among the anti-corruption agencies. You see more of synergy, you see more of data sharing, you see more of working together to achieving this purpose that they are all committed to achieve.
Final question.
The report of SERAP, well, is an indication of what they have found out, but it is not representative of the reality that is on ground.
I'd also like to ask your assessment of the arrowheads in the anti-graft fight, and that is the ICPC and also the EFCC. Would you say that they've carried out their duties and that they are carrying out their duties independently, without favor?
Millicent, I would say yes. They are carrying out their mandates objectively, without fear or favor. If you have anything to contradict what I've said, you can put it to me, then we join issues on it. But based on what I know, the ICPC led by Professor Oyo-Ita is doing a lot of good work at the moment. Currently, they are dealing with constituency projects, which many people have abandoned over the years. Now, questions are being asked. You see legislatures coming out from wherever they are to complete their projects. This has not been the case in the past. That is what ICPC is doing, at least I can say that. And EFCC is every day in the news reporting performance, reporting exploits, reporting action. So unless you have something to put to me, I would say that the two agencies and others are doing a good job.
All right, we appreciate your time, Mr. Abiodun Aikomo, Special Assistant to the President on Anti-Corruption. Another thing lots of stakeholders are saying is that the federal government should extend the anti-corruption fight to states and also local government areas.